Hello everyone, this is Seichu here today, once again, representing MegaGamingStore.com, the best place to buy your video games online. And today we'll be looking as... celebration isn't quite the right word, but because of the coming of Final Fantasy XIII-2 on January 31st, 2011, which you can pre-order online at MegaGamingStore.com, we'll be looking today at its predecessor, Final Fantasy XIII. For the... well, technically I played the Xbox copy, but I also played this up until Chapter 7-ish. So, I've got a pretty good grasp on how that is too. Alright, to start, let's just dive right in, shall we? And even today, we have cutscene clips. I would have liked to have battle clips and stuff like that for when I talk about the gameplay, but there was no way I could get any of that. I mean, I have a Roxio and all, but I can't like use it with my computer because this is a desktop, and it's kind of hard to hook up to that when my PS3 is in a different room. So we'll just be going with that. Alright. We'll be doing it much the same way as I did Skyrim, only now with cutscenes that I was able to find and download online. Starting off with the graphics, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. It's not as impressive as the stuff is today, of course, but I mean, if you look at it from the point of view of someone who just got the game the day it came out, the graphics were pretty darn impressive, especially for Final Fantasy. It was a huge step up from Final Fantasy XII, and there's not really much else to say about that, other than the fact that the only reason I don't give it a 10, of course, is because the way I had it put to me was that their faces looked a little plastic, and if you do pay attention to that, yeah, their models could use a bit of work. I'm hoping that, of course, gets an upgrade even further with Final Fantasy XIII-2 coming up. And I'll be doing a review of that game as well, as soon as I get and then beat it. Moving on. We have the story, which I'll give a solid 7 out of 10. The thing about the story is that it's not something we haven't heard in an RPG before. I mean, you're given power by a higher being. In fact, this is almost like every other Final Fantasy, only the higher being is supposedly evil, but I'm not going to get too far into that. Spoilers. But, basically, you're given these powers, and you have to go on this quest, and, yeah. And, you control 6 characters. Lightning, Snow, Hope, Vanille, Fang, and Saz. They each have their little different quirks, and they are pretty fun characters, but a couple of them, Hope is way too whiny because of something that happens at the beginning of the game, and he just kind of goes on a quest for vengeance from that point on until about chapter... well, actually, I think it's chapter 7 that plotline ends. But, and then there's Vanille, who, even during serious moments, she's kind of silly. There's no other way to put that. She is just way too out there for my taste. That's my own personal thing, so there's that. Next, we have gameplay. Gameplay. This is where I would have liked to have some battle scenes to show what I'm talking about, but I'm going to give it a... well, considering the early game, which I was just playing just now, no, I'm still gonna give it an 8 out of 10. The thing about the battle mechanics is that it doesn't get really fun until Chapter 11, when you're able to take any of the characters into the 6 different classes, which they each also specialize in. 6 classes being Commando, which is your tank character. No, that's the other one. Commando is the one who does most of the damage. Ravagers drive up the chain gauge, which the chain gauge is one of the main things about Final Fantasy XIII that made the battle system so fun. Commandos, when they attack an enemy, will keep the chain gauge more stabilized, while the Ravager then takes that and drives up the chain gauge really fast. And when you drive up the chain gauge all the way to the max for whatever enemy you're fighting, usually it's around 300%, though the final boss I believe was 999 actually. No, it was only 500 actually. But it was easy to drive it up to 999. Anyway, you'll stagger them, and then with smaller enemies, or even some of the bigger ones, you can use a commando to launch them into the air. It's pretty great. And that of course does massive damage, and they'll even take damage when they hit the ground. So, and on top of that, the chain gauge also, depending on what percent it's at, will actually affect how much damage you're doing. So if it's at 200%, you're doing double damage. So that's a quick way to dispose of a lot of enemies. But there's also Sentinel, who is your tank character. They sit there and they draw fire. That's basically all they do. And they're really good at it, because it increases their defense by a lot. And while they're out on the field, once you get them to higher levels, what is it? Oh yeah, when they're out there, they basically increase the defense of everybody, so it keeps you alive a bit longer. Sentinels are very essential for the later parts of the game, because the enemies get really tough. Next was Medic. Medic is your basic healer. That's all they do. They sit there and heal you. Not much else to say about them. And then we have your two other, a little bit oddball classes, the Synergist and the Saboteur, which is for buffing, protect, haste, stuff like that, and debuffing, which is deprotect, slow, pain and fog, which stop your enemies from using physical and magical attacks. How much time am I? Okay. And once you're able to take them all into their different classes, and you can make some pretty unique strategies with it, and it makes it a lot of fun. But the early parts of the game, you're restricted quite a lot, in that you can only have, like, right now in Chapter 7, I can only have 3 classes per character, and I can only have 2 characters in the party at the same time. When you get 3 party members, is when the strategy actually becomes something. Because when you have 2 characters, the enemies are basically dumbed down, it feels like. So you can just wail on them and they'll die. Not much else I can say about the gameplay, really. So, let's move on. The music! The music is done by, as you can hear in the background, I should have either Blinded by Light, or since I was rambling for quite a while, it'll probably be something else from the game. But Final Fantasy XIII's music was done. Yes, I should have done this research ahead of time. Excuse me. The composer was Masashi I should be way better at this. Masashi Hamauzu, who has done music for, oh, he was the one who arranged the Final Fantasy IV music. That's cool. And he's also, of course, going to do the music of Final Fantasy XIII-2. He's also done... Oh, he was the one who composed Final Fantasy X as well, along with Uematsu. And Dirge of Cerberus, I guess. Everything else I've never heard of. So, yeah, he's done those. Oh, Saga Frontier. But, yeah, he's done those games. So, he did a really brilliant job. I mean, he's no Uematsu, don't get me wrong. Or Shimomura, I guess, because I really like her work too. And also Shoji Meguro. Wait, that's the composer of Bleach. What was the name of the composer of the Persona series? I should know this. Well, it's not very important. But, yeah, Shoji Meguro. Okay, so I was thinking of something else. Okay. Yeah, those are my 3 top video game composers, by the way. But, basically, I mean, his music is really good. It's got the emotion and the triumphant battle music and the amazing final boss music, which is reminiscent of One Winged Angel, but better in my opinion. Which, I'll probably get a lot of hate mail for saying that. But, I mean, One Winged Angel wasn't that amazing. I also haven't given a score to the music yet. 8.5 out of 10. Because, at the same time, the main tracks I remember are the battle themes. And that's mostly it. I don't really, like, if I were to sit down and listen to the whole track, I wouldn't know where half the music comes from. So yeah, that's a big part of giving scores to music for me, is that if I can hear a track and remember where in the game it's played, that means I remember that place, and the music is memorable. Which is why I'd give all of Persona's music 10s. But, that's the thing. Alright, so the replayability. This has to get a lower score. 6 out of 10. Because the thing with Final Fantasy XIII is that, and a lot of people said this when the game first came out, but I guess I'll reiterate it, is that it's very linear up until Chapter 11. If you could just start playing from Chapter 11, because I do like to make a save file at the beginning of that chapter to play from that point on, then that would be great. Like a New Game Plus or something like that. Or even just New Game Plus so I could breeze through the rest of the game, I guess. I don't know. But the beginning of the game, for the reasons I said before in gameplay, it takes forever to get through it, it feels like. Because once you know how the battles work, it feels like you're being slowed down, because you want to be able to use all these different classes, but you can't. And there's no real side quests to go on until, like I said, Chapter 11. Of which there are 13 chapters in the game, by the way. But if you take the time to do all the side quests, Chapter 11 is easily the longest chapter in the game. Well, and then there's post-game, which also takes quite a long time. But, so, there's that. Well, I guess that's mostly it. Just the overall score now. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Just, music has always been a huge part of it for me because I've grown up with so many JRPGs. Final Fantasies, Dragon Quest, the other ones that I can't name right now. Kingdom Hearts was also a pretty big one for me, actually, because I did only play that when I was like 12. So, yeah. That's about it, though. So, remember, you can buy this game and also pre-order Final Fantasy XIII-2, and also many others, either upcoming or out already. Yes. Through the MegaGamingStore.com. Be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe if you like this video and would like to support me. And also, most importantly, buy some games. So, Until then, this was Seichi. Later, guys.